Hi, everyone. So I wanted to do, well, let me use this first and foremost as a check-in, but there are a couple of important things that I want to share related to the transits that we are experiencing in the sign of Capricorn. These transits are going to be over soon, but the sign of Capricorn, as you know, the sun goes through the signs of Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini in the first 6 months of the year. And the personal planets are, and by that I mean specifically Mercury and Venus and sometimes Mars, are close to the sun during these transits. These annual transits, not all transits through all the signs have equal weight. I don't want to say, it's not a question of importance, it's a question of the sign of Capricorn in the first 6 months of the year is particularly highlighted, especially into April. But then we have, as we do every now and then in a year, 2 full moons in the sign of Capricorn. And I kind of wanted to touch on a couple of things related to these transits because the annual personal planet transits by the middle of February, we're going to be done with them. I mean, really, give me 1 second, let me tell you by when, the sun is already cleared Capricorn. Yeah, by February the 16th, Venus will be the last planet that clears Capricorn and is in Aquarius. In about 2 or 3 weeks' time, these planets are going to be done with this particular sign. And as far as the primary transits that we're tracking, a lot of them are now complete. Mars, I think, trined Uranus today, and what we've got left in terms of the transits we've been looking at are now Venus squaring Chiron and the North Node, and then trining Uranus by the end of the first week of February, kind of just before the February, a few days before the February Aquarius new moon, and by February the 16th, Venus is done with that transit. So as we move into, and as more and more, on the 4th or 5th of February, Mercury is going to go into Aquarius. We'll have the new moon in Aquarius on February the 9th, and then in the middle of February, Mars and then Venus will enter Aquarius. So there's going to start to become more and more emphasis in the sign of Aquarius, but it's not over yet. And there were a couple of important things I wanted to highlight. But before I get into that, just a couple of points of check-in. And one more thing I wanted to bring up, which is we're kind of starting what I will call conjunction season. About 4 or 5, 6 months ago, I was talking about opposition season, when all the planets were going through the signs of Virgo and Libra and Scorpio and opposing Saturn, Neptune, the North Node, Chiron, Jupiter, Uranus, and we're now approaching conjunction season. All the planets are kind of squished into 5 signs: Capricorn, where we've got Mercury, Mars, and Venus; Aquarius, where we've got the Sun and Pluto; Pisces, where we've got Saturn and Neptune; Aries, where we've got the North Node and Chiron; and Jupiter, where we've got, Taurus, where we've got Jupiter and Uranus. And as the personal planets, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, start to move into Aquarius, they're going to start to conjunct these heavy hitters, specifically Pluto in Aquarius, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, the North Node and Chiron in Aries. By that time, the North Node will be at an earlier degree by the time those conjunctions start to happen than Chiron. And then, of course, Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. So we're getting ready for all these personal planets to start to be in conversation with these heavy hitters. I just wanted to check in and say, since we had the Leo full moon on the 25th, right after that, isn't it interesting? At least it's true for me, and I notice it being true for others as well. I will continue to maintain that in some ways the most productive time energetically to get things done is that first week after the full moon. The week after the full moon, I shouldn't say first week. Now, I've already mentioned in the video I did about the 2 months before the eclipse, that till the 31st of January, till Wednesday, we are still in that week before, week after January 24th period where eclipsy things could occur, in conversation with the Libra South Node eclipses and by association the Aries North Node eclipses. In addition, since the 25th, I would expect and I would hope that it's been easier to be more productive and to start to be able to get things done. And since the January 10th or 11th new moon in Capricorn, when, as far as I'm concerned, energetically the new moon really started, and all the videos I did recently, I actually took a bit of a break for about 3 or 4 days with the videos because I just thought there was so much content that I had put out there, and there was so much me exhorting you to get on the horse and to move towards your goals, and that energy still remains relevant. Till the 2nd of February, we're still in that week after the full moon truly productive phase. After the 2nd, as we head towards the new moon, the moon will become smaller and smaller, and it'll be harder to marshal that energy, particularly as we get towards that new moon in Aquarius, the 48 odd hours before the new moon. But keep in mind that Venus trines Uranus at the end of the first week of Feb. So it still is very much pursuit of goals, planting seeds, going out and getting whatever it is that you want, making things happen kind of energy. And we're going to, of course, talk more about that as the planets move into Aquarius, because from the sign of Aquarius, they'll continue to be in conversation with Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. But before I dove into these Capricorn content that I wanted to give you, I wanted to just kind of highlight and bring attention to the fact that we're going to move into conjunction season soon. So that should give you a sense of what videos are going to be coming up and what it is that I'm going to be talking about soon. And also just kind of bring your attention to what it actually feels like to head towards a full moon when you think you would be productive, but the energies are so unwieldy that it's kind of hard to, it's kind of hard to, if we were to think of the tarot and we were to think of the chariot card, it's kind of hard to drive the chariot in a balanced way. And it's that week after the full moon when I find that things just happen with so much ease. The energy is just balanced and just right. The week after a new moon, we're still kind of finding the steam. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about these Capricorn energies. You're going to have to bear with me for the next 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, because those of you who've been watching my recent videos, and the thing about watching astrology videos is they are part of the same story. And so if you are new to the channel or you want to catch up in some way, go back to and watch the new moon in Capricorn video that I did around the time of the new moon in Capricorn, January 10th, 11th, and start from there. You don't have to see everything. I'm not saying spend hours watching astrology videos, but we're still in that Capricorn month, the word month being derived from the moon, as I've mentioned here before numerous times. We're still in that Capricorn month. So energy, growth, investment needs to continue to happen within the sign of Capricorn. And as I've mentioned, the personal planets that have been going through the sign of Capricorn have squared. Venus is the last planet to do so, but squaring Chiron and the North Node in Aries, and Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. What I'm going to say next, I have said before a few times, but in the interest of people who might be seeing this, encountering it here, and this is not the core content that I'm about to share in this video, but just bear with me. The transits that we've experienced in the sign of Capricorn have meant that some activity related to the planet in question, whether it was the sun, whether it's Mercury, whether it's Venus or Mars, some characteristic action related to the planets in question needs to be done in order to allow Chiron to heal whatever it is that it's trying to heal in the Aries part of your chart. And when I say the Aries part of the chart, I mean the house occupied by the sign of Aries in your birth chart. What is that house? What does it stand for? Who does it stand for? Chiron is trying to heal something long-standing there that could go back to childhood. And the North Node is asking us to pour our attention into any sense of calling, any sense of adventure, any sense of instinctively feeling forward movement or expansiveness in that part of the chart. Always remember with the North Node to keep things grounded, because the North Node will create this sense of yearning and this sense of rightness, but in that process and in the joy of going after that carrot at the end of the stick, if you are not clear about how you are doing that in a measured manner, it can play havoc with your your sense of security or with your bank balance. It kind of produces this gamblerish instinct. It can't be denied, and it shouldn't be denied, because it's where the soul is going to experience its growth and its learning. It's vital, it's alive. But each of us has our own capacity and tolerance for how much pursuing that vitality, about how much of a toll following our own hero's journey can take on our psyches. Because following that hero's journey involves risk-taking and adventure and ups and downs and sideways and a kind of application and a kind of lack of stability, in a sense, that can be quite taxing depending on who you are emotionally and what your needs are. So make sure that those financial and emotional needs with regard to how you feel safe and secure are being honored or balanced with. You can't honor them to such an extent that you're ignoring the North Node's calling completely, or that will lead to a feeling of sadness and futility and depression and almost feeling like you're living a meaningless life. So you've got to find that balance for yourself. In addition, as these planets move through the sign of Capricorn, action is needed in the sign of Capricorn to support the end of a 12-13-year cycle and the start of a 12-13-year cycle that Jupiter is trying to create in the sign of Taurus. Where does Taurus sit in your chart? What houses does it occupy? And this is an ending leading to a new beginning. And by a new beginning, I mean the start of a 12-13-year cycle. I find that sort of contemporary astrology gives Jupiter this massive kind of bounteous meaning that I don't see evidence. I see Jupiter being more capable of laying you off so that you can pursue the right path and giving you the lucky break and the lucky new beginning than making you a CEO and giving you billions of dollars, kind of thing. So just in the interest of just me giving you some information based on what just kind of take that in and see for yourself what applies for you and what holds true and what resonates and what doesn't. And in the sign of Taurus, we've also got Uranus. So as the planets in Capricorn trine Uranus, action is needed to support the fact that Uranus is trying to make you more individual and more authentic. You know how we say everyone's path is different, and there's always sort of a conventional belief around how to approach something, how to do something, how to become a sculptor, go get an MFA somewhere and then do this and then to do this and do this, how to become an actor, go do this and then do this and do this. And yet the reality is that as people, how to become a writer, how to become a doctor, the reality is that each person finds their own path. Someone might get discovered in a play in XYZ area, and someone might follow the conventional path, and someone might just answer a casting call somewhere, and you just don't know what that is gonna what is right for you. And so Uranus in the sign of Taurus, this transit is, and under Uranus's influence, you might find that you are really listening to that, and others may perceive you as being rebellious or foolhardy, but there's something to that sense of what is right for me, what works for me really in this part of the chart. So the transits through Capricorn, and I'm coming to a close of these things that I've shared in other videos, and we'll get to the meat of what I really want to share here in a second. So as the planets have moved through Capricorn, and when I say characteristic action, what Venus needs to do in the sign of Capricorn is going to feel different than what Mercury needed to do, or what Mars needs to do, or what the Sun has done. So depending on the planet that is trining Jupiter, then squaring Chiron, then squaring the North Node, and trining Uranus, actions need to be taken, whether they're communication or transactions with Mercury, pursuit of goals or managing conflict with Mars. I'm being very simplistic. Pursuing as harmoniously as possible or reaping rewards related to finances or relationships when it comes to Venus, and building bridges and pursuing harmonious opportunities in the Capricorn part of the chart in such a way that, as I said, action is taken so that Chiron and the North Node can do their job in Aries, and Jupiter and Uranus can be supported harmoniously in what they're trying to do in the sign of Taurus. Now, these transits, as I just explained, will be done by February the 16th, when Venus is the last of these planets, which will leave Capricorn for Aquarius. And Capricorn season, for all intents and purposes, in the way that I define Capricorn season, which is when do the first of these personal planets enter the sign and when does the last one leave, started December the 1st, when Mercury entered Capricorn the first time. Remember, Mercury went retrograde in the middle of December in Capricorn into Sagittarius, direct in Sagittarius, and back into Capricorn. And that's the first of the things that I'm going to be sharing and talking about here in a second. And it ends, for all intents and purposes, on February the 16th. Aquarius season and Pisces season are going to be even more compact, because now the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are traveling quite close together. So we've had personal planet transits occurring from December the 1st to February the 16th. Now, when Mercury goes retrograde, it creates a Mercury cycle in a part of the chart. And before these transits are done, the reason why I'm doing this video is I want you to reflect on these two things that I'm going to share. One of them I've already shared, so let's just get that out of the way. The fact that we have two full moons in Capricorn, one on June the 21st of this year, the next one on July 21st of this year. June the 21st, full moon in Capricorn in the first degree of Capricorn. July the 21st, full moon in Capricorn in the last degree of Capricorn. So, the new moon in Capricorn was in Jan 11th. What sort of a cycle here is potentially getting completed in late June and late July? Why two full moons? Why one in the first degree, one in the last degree? With full moons, there can be, we just had a full moon in Leo, it can be a flare-up, it can be a sign of a time of intensity, emotional, intuitive, but it can also bring completions, it can bring endings, it can also bring offers, it can bring visibility. And so when I say that the sign of Capricorn holds particular weight, A, because of all these transits that are being made, B, because we have these two full moons coming up, C, because till April we have a Mercury cycle active there, and I'll come to that in a second. Before these planets, before Mercury, Venus, and Mars leave Capricorn, and we're done with Capricorn season by February the 16th, I want to put you in a space of reflection. And I want you to remember, my friends, that when the Sun's and Pluto's conjunction occurred, before they moved into Aquarius, it occurred in Capricorn. And there's a lot of emphasis being given to the fact that these planets have entered Aquarius, and that emphasis is not misplaced. You will feel what Pluto is trying to do in Aquarius. You should be feeling it now, perhaps. But we also have Pluto going retrograde and coming back into Capricorn and wrapping up the Capricorn transit in the second half of this year for good. And with the Sun and Pluto conjuncting in Capricorn, not in Aquarius this year, here's another reason to keep the sign of Capricorn, what house it occupies, what are the issues related to that house, what transformation that house has been experiencing since 2008. The importance of cooperating with Pluto's transformation in that part of the chart by the end of this year is paramount. So when you think about priorities, I look at my chart. What are my priorities? Do not let Capricorn, the sign of Capricorn, specifically the house in your chart occupied by the sign of Capricorn and issues and matters related to it. I wouldn't be surprised if till April, and with these full moons in June and July, that they somehow remain, surprisingly to you, active. But then when we get to the second half of the year and Pluto comes in to complete its transit through Capricorn, then it's going to become alive again. Now, wherever Saturn is, our attention is going to go. Saturn is in Pisces. Jupiter is going to be doing its own thing. The North Node will be doing its own thing. The eclipses will move into the sign of Pisces in the second half of this year. Other houses will take priority. But don't lose sight of the Capricorn part of your chart this year. The real front and centerness of it will diminish by the middle of April. But we're back looking at this particular part of the chart in June and July with those full moons. And in the second half of the year, issues related to it with regard to completing the transformation that Pluto has been trying to make in this part of our chart, the part of the chart occupied by the sign of Capricorn, it will become really important and urgent to finish that up. So the first of two things I wanted to bring to your attention related to the sign of Capricorn that I have not covered in previous videos is the fact that we're going to have two full moons there. And I want to bring this up before we're done with all these personal planet Capricorn transactions. So you can just put that out there with a question mark and just kind of keep that in your navigation for now. More importantly, and more to the point, the Mercury cycle that we're under is in the sign of Capricorn, Mercury is going direct. It goes retrograde. When it goes retrograde, it conjuncts the sun. When a retrograde Mercury conjuncts the sun, it starts a Mercury cycle. Then Mercury continues to go retrograde. It goes direct. And this is the phase that we're currently in. Eventually, it conjuncts the sun again, moves ahead of the sun. Let me keep it in the video. Moves ahead of the sun, goes retrograde again. And the next time a retrograde Mercury is going to conjunct the sun will be in the sign of Aries. Now, a retrograde Mercury conjuncted the sun in the very first degree of Capricorn on December the 22nd of 2023. The Mercury cycle that was occurring before then, since September, was in the sign of Virgo. If you were to think back to the time period between September and December 22nd, I wonder, I would be willing to put a penny on this. More actually, but let's leave that out of the, that's not where I'm going. If you think back to September to December 22nd, it will not surprise me if you're able to see how mercurial activities, communication, transactions, travel, remained related to the sign of Virgo, and by what that I mean related to the house in your chart occupied by the sign of Virgo. It would not surprise me at all if communication and transactions related to the house occupied by the sign of Virgo in your chart remained active, important, significant from a communication and a transaction perspective all the way from September through December 22nd. To the extent that you could almost The new moon in September, which was in Virgo, that month between the middle of September to the middle of October could have felt totally flat and slow related to Virgo related actions and activities. After the new moon in Libra in the middle of October, and particularly as Mercury started to move ahead faster and faster, and as you were going through November and into December, as I said, it would not surprise me if you felt like you started to see results even after Mercury went retrograde December the 13th through December 22nd or thereabouts. I'm only bringing up the last Mercury cycle so that you can think about where Virgo sits in your birth chart, what house it occupies, what that house stands for, and whether you're able to see how Mercury-related activities, even though Virgo season was done long before December 22nd, how from a communication and transactions perspective, Virgo-related activities remained energized and active and continued to be part of a story that yielded a result between September and December 22nd. Well, the same thing has happened since December 22nd in the sign of Capricorn. December 22nd, a retrograde Mercury conjuncted the Sun. On January the 1st, Mercury went direct. So December 22nd to January the 1st was a kind of a, I wonder if you see it this way. It kind of established the requirement for what needed to start to happen after January the 1st, especially between January the 1st and February the 28th. On February the 28th, a direct Mercury will meet up with the Sun in the sign of Pisces. Between January the 1st and February the 28th, expansive communications and transactions and seed planting and growth, and it's like you're implementing a project related to the Capricorn part of your chart, the house occupied by Capricorn. Some of this is happening naturally because you've got the Sun and Venus and Mars and Mercury till the middle of February kind of transiting this and making those energies needed there. February 28th, the Sun and Mercury meet up. The Mercury cycle in Capricorn continues because Mercury is going to go past the Sun. And on April the 1st, Mercury is going to go retrograde. So between February 28th and April the 1st, it's a question of building on the groundwork that is going to be laid on till February the 20th. You may tweak things, you may expand things, you may change things, you may take things to the next level. It's both harvest time, but it's also kind of tweaking and expanding time. April the 1st to April the 11th is when a retrograde Mercury, on April the 11th, a retrograde Mercury meets with the Sun and creates the next Mercury cycle in Aries. Till April the 11th of this year, mercurial activities related to the part of your chart occupied by the sign of Capricorn will remain active. After that, we might see a slight pulling back, lessening of energies, but not for long, because then by the time we get to June and July full moons, the Capricorn part of the chart is active again. Pluto's going to retrograde back into Capricorn in the second half of the year, and then that needs to finish up the Capricorn transit. To summarize, what does all this mean? It's important to remain in productivity and growth and activity mode as the planets continue to be direct, and especially as Mercury continues to be direct till March 25th or so. It is especially important to remain in pursuing goals related to 2024, expansive, going after what you want to create, going after what you want to build, continuing to do that not only till January the 31st, not only till February the 2nd, which is the quarter moon, not only, even though between February the 2nd until the new moon in Capricorn, the energies are going to decline, remember during that week, Venus is going to trine Uranus. So again, remain in action to the best of your energetic ability. The new moon in Aquarius will happen. In Aquarius itself, as planets transit through Aquarius, they will continue to, action will be required to be taken in the sign of Aquarius, the house occupied by the sign of Aquarius, to allow Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus to create a new 12, 13-year cycle and make you more individual respectively. By the time you get to the end of February, we're going to start to experience energies that are a little bit heavier as the planets start to conjunct Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Because there we're going to be in a kind of a dual mode. We're going to be expanding, continuing to pull the thread of the story that is going through the sign of Capricorn into Aquarius into Pisces, but we're also going to start contending with those issues related to the house occupied by Pisces in your chart that have been experiencing a crisis and can threaten to derail us, that go back to 2014, 15, 16, particularly 2016. So important to remain in that kind of pursuit of goals and growth, and don't give up, just do what you feel you need to remain in expansive mode, pursue your goals, move forward. Action and activity is still needed in the sign of Capricorn. Venus is getting ready to make 3 important transits through the end of the first week of February, and then on February the 16th, she is the last of the planets to move into Aquarius. Action, you'll find as you head into the first week of February, you'll start to see your attention with regard to action and activity being split between the sign of Capricorn and the sign of Aquarius. Once Mercury enters Aquarius and communication and transactions related to the Aquarius part of your chart increase, you'll see that pull occur. But the Capricorn part of your chart is not done. Whatever it is, this is the summary that counts as far as this video is concerned. Whatever it is that you have been doing in the Capricorn part of your chart remains active and starts to show results then that you're going to both be harvesting and pruning, and past February the 28th into April, till April the 1st, and indeed till April the 11th. This would be related to communications, transactions, could be technology, could be social media, could be Mercury-related things related to Capricorn. And then, by the time we get to June and July, we have 2 full moons in Capricorn. And then, in the second half of the year, Pluto completes its transit. So the work you're doing right now, whether it is expansive, whether it is incorporating Pluto's transformational transit through the sign of Capricorn that goes back to 2008, whatever it is important. It's not only is it contributing to expansive transits that are occurring right now, Chiron and the North Node in Aries, Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. It's telling its story. It's necessary seed planting, and it could be dual in nature. It could be starting your new year and pursuing goals related to that, and it could be incorporating and assimilating things related to Pluto's transformation in this part of the chart. And all I'm doing with this video is bringing awareness to the part of your chart occupied by Capricorn and saying, keep an eye on it. And right now, in January and into February, remain in action in this part of the chart. You will start to have to put action into the Aquarius part of the chart soon. You probably already are. We've got Pluto there and the Sun there, but it's only the beginning. In February, things are really going to start to, in the Aquarius part of the chart, but I'm telling you, as by the time you're in May and June and you look back at the first few months of the year, you'll see how till the middle of April, you'll be like, wow, the Capricorn part of the chart continued to grow and continue to develop. And then with those 2 full moons in the second half of the year. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I hope you found this video useful. Welcome to new subscribers. If you're interested in inquiring about readings and personal chart readings, my email address is in the description box below. You can use that to inquire and I can give you the relevant information. Feel free, if you found this video useful, to tell your friends, etc. about it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and click the wiggly bell next to the subscribe. There's a bell, and on top of that, there's a wiggly bell. If you click on that, you'll be notified whenever I do new videos. Comment, like, it sort of increases circulation if you feel like it. It increases circulation of videos on YouTube. And thank you for being here. And I will be back with another video soon. Take care.